What is up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Touchdown and Ties, the father-daughter sports podcast where she knows ball because he taught her. I'm your co-host, Brianna, the daughter of this duo.
What up, everybody? And I'm Keith, her dad, the other co-host.
In today's episode, we are going to be wrapping up Week 14, aka Rivalry Week in college football. But before we do, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you get updated whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, let's do it.
All right. I guess wasn't meant to say it like that, but I kind of did. Segueing into the Lonestar Showdown, Texas gave Texas A&M their first loss of the season.
They did.
I did not mean to say it like that. Shout out Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Before we get into that, how are you? I mean, you were on the road for 2 weeks.
I know.
Just made it back home. I was thinking about it this morning. It felt like I dropped you off at the airport a couple of days ago, but it was actually just yesterday.
It was yesterday.
That I dropped you back off. So how's it going, sweetie?
It's good. Like I said, it's 2 weeks on the road, literally exactly 2 weeks on the day on the road. I was gone from 2 weeks before yesterday, Saturday, and I got back in 2 weeks. So it was a lot from work trip, from then coming home and spending time with family. It was just back to back in Florida, then Texas, and now back on the West Coast. So I've been in 2-3 different time zones at this point. So I am pooped, to say the least. But I'm happy to finally be back in my own space. Got to sleep in my own bed. I came home yesterday, took a nap. Thought I was going to be able to go to sleep that night. I was asleep again by 8:30, and then I woke up today at 8:30. Slept the whole way to LA yesterday on the airplane, so I am exhausted, to say the least. But it is it's really, really nice to finally just at least be back in my own space and to have my regular background, my whole setup. I'm not holding the microphone in my hand and adjusting it every second to make sure the condenser is in my face. So it's nice to finally just be and just have my own space again. So. Yeah.
No matter where you are, no matter where you take vacation or you're on a work trip or whatever it is, it's always good just to be back home in your own space. So that's
for
good.
sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always hard too, especially when I've been around family, to then come back and just being by myself, because it's a little bit lonely the first couple of days. But I'll be all right. It's fine. I'm used to it at this point. So
yeah, we'll be together again in a couple of weeks. So just hang in there.
Couple weeks. Yeah, there we go.
There. Getting back to the football game, Texas, they surprised me.
They surprised me too.
They surprised me. I thought Texas, this was an opportunity for Texas A&M to really stamp their arrival, if you will, in the SEC, to make it to the championship game and look good for them in the first half. I think it was like 10-3 going into halftime, and it was over after that when Texas came out in the second half. Their first possession broke off that big run, and they were
Arch
on their
Manning
way.
had a great game. I mean, he had a big touchdown run for himself. It was a point in that game where I kind of forgot that Texas A&M was the higher ranked team with the way that Texas was playing. I was like, wait a second, because I kind of forgot who I was kind of rooting for in that moment. I mean, I had no attachments to the game, but I was like, wait a second. I was like, Texas is the underdog in this game, and they are just whooping these dudes right now. I was just shocked. Like you said, I was just shocked that Texas won that game, and it sucks for Texas A&M too, because this would have been their first time to make the SEC championship game since they've been in the SEC. Mind you, they've been there for a minute. We talked about this before. I'm surprised that they've never actually made it to that championship game. So I don't want to say it's for nothing, because obviously they're very much still in the college football playoffs. They probably did forego their first round bye for the college football playoff. But it kind of, in a way, feels like the season was kind of a waste, because at this point, if you don't win the national championship, cool, you can still go and compete for it. But the biggest stamp I felt like on their season would have been able to make it to the SEC championship, and they did not do that.
Yeah, that's why I said it was an opportunity for them to announce the arrival. I know they've been in the SEC longer than Texas, actually.
Yeah.
But they've never played in that game before. And to have the opportunity right there for you against a Texas team, this is okay. I mean, they came into the game with 3 losses, I'm sorry. But Texas is just okay. It's not a dominant Texas team. Texas A&M was undefeated. So you had an opportunity there against your biggest rival to announce, okay, we're part of the SEC. We're going to go to the championship game. I don't know if they would probably wouldn't end up playing Alabama, maybe, if they won the game or whatever, but it didn't happen. So now the only thing you can do is just wait till next week just to see what position you will be in the playoff, because they're going to go to the playoffs. They're 11-1, so they'll be there.
Yeah, you're talking about Texas A&M. I was thinking
Right.
about Texas because they were trying to make their case after the game for beating
Right.
Texas A&M, which you don't want to dismiss that. You don't want to punish them for playing Ohio State the first game of the season. They also played Georgia because obviously they're in the SEC as well. But
Right.
Texas is currently ranked 16, and they're
Right.
9-3 again with those losses to Georgia, Ohio State, and Florida. But
Right.
throughout this weekend, Friday and Saturday, every single team in front of them besides Michigan won. So that
One.
doesn't,
Yeah.
to me, that doesn't really help their case because you don't
Right.
want to necessarily punish them for playing Ohio State and for playing Georgia, but you don't want to essentially give them a participation medal just to get into the playoffs because they did play them because they didn't beat them.
Right.
They're 9-3. So all these other teams that are in front of them are either 10-2 or
Mhm.
11-1 with 1 or 2 losses respectively. And
Right.
then you're gonna put a 9-3 Texas in in front of all those teams just because they played Georgia and Ohio State. That doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, and it seemed like the coach, Sarkisian, was campaigning
Really
for a
advocating for
participation
it.
trophy because they
Yeah,
played Ohio State, saying like, "Hey,
right.
we should get basically we should get credit for
Credit.
scheduling that game and not canceling
Mhm.
it like other schools did. We
Mm.
kept that game on our schedule, and even though we lost, we should be given credit for that, right?"
Right.
That's essentially what he was
What he's
saying.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, you have 3 losses, dude. I mean, and
Yeah.
how are you, you sitting at number 16, 15, whatever it
6
is. How do you leapfrog that many
that
teams
many teams, but all
that
those teams won this
they
week.
won? Yeah. You had an opportunity throughout the course of the season to state your case.
Mhm.
You lost to a bad Florida
A
team.
team.
There were a couple other games that you struggled against some of the
Yeah,
bottom feeders of
kinda
the SEC,
skirted
I think
by.
Kentucky and
Mhm.
Mississippi State maybe, that you barely beat one of those games. Like you won the game, but you barely won the game.
Right.
So now you want to be given credit because you
Mhm.
beat Texas A&M, to which, okay, I give you credit for that. But you played Ohio State, you lost to Ohio State. You played
Mhm.
Georgia, and you were blown out by Georgia.
By Georgia.
It would be unprecedented. No, it's only been a couple years here, but it would be unprecedented for a 3-loss team to
Mhm.
make the playoff in any
Right.
format that they've
Right.
had to
A
this
12
point.
team,
So
14, whatever it
it
is,
doesn't
whatever the
matter
case
what
may
it
be.
is.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, I guess the question would be this: if you put Texas in the game, who do you take out?
What do you take out? Right.
Who do you
And
take out?
I know strength of schedule is a thing. I've said this previous episodes that the committee is notorious for making decisions that people just don't
Hmm.
understand, and that's fine. But if you're going to make that case for you, what does that say about everybody else that did play tough teams, did win their
Yeah.
games, is 11-1?
Yeah.
If Texas was sitting at 11-1 at the end of the season and their only loss maybe was to Ohio State, and they're
Right.
sitting at 16, then I would feel like, okay, like let's kind of have more of a discussion on this. But
Right.
I mean, you play Georgia. Georgia is in your conference, so it's not
Yeah.
crazy that you put Georgia on your schedule. Like you said, the only team that you
Yeah.
probably really truly picked, I could be wrong, but it is Ohio State that played
It's
them in the
Ohio
first
State.
game of the
Yeah.
season.
And these schedules are made years in advance. It's not
Yeah,
like, they just made the
just like year
schedule
by
during the
year.
off
Yeah.
season. But even if they were sitting at 10-2 with their two
Hmm.
losses being to Ohio State and Georgia, two top four, two top five teams or whatever, you
Right.
would have more of an argument.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to overcome that loss to Florida. So whatever credit you want to give them for scheduling Ohio State, you have to take away credit for
Hmm.
for losing to Florida. I mean, Florida's a bad team. I think Florida finished 4-8, 3-9, whatever it is this
Yeah,
year.
something like that.
Fired the coach during the middle of the season. So
Mm.
that loss is going to hurt Texas. At least it should. But there's a lot of
Mhm.
politicking that goes on with college football. So I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't think they should make it, but we'll see. I mean, we'll find out next Sunday what the selection committee
selection
thinks or
show.
whatever.
Yeah.
But again, it would just be interesting to see. I mean, we've seen plenty of examples of this. Florida State got left out one year; they were undefeated, won that
Yeah,
conference.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they
that was
because their quarterback got
insane.
hurt, so they put Alabama in, who had lost 2 games, or whatever it was that
Yeah.
year. So you just never know. You
Yeah, that's
just
what I'm
never
saying.
know.
They make decisions you never know. So they definitely could be in, but that would be a slap in the face for 1 through 14. I
Yeah.
won't say 15 because this was 15, and we're gonna talk
Right.
about that in a second. But at least
Yeah.
1 through 14, who are the first two out or whatever.
Right.
All those
Right.
people,
And
1 through 12, 12-team playoff. It's going to be offensive to some of those teams.
Right, and then at the championship games, I mean, you have 8 teams that's playing in the championship games, whatever. So I don't know if it's in those couple of those situations where if you lose, you're out. You have who's playing in those games. I mean,
It's
next
Ohio State and
weekend,
Indiana's Big Ten, the
yeah, both of those teams are going to
ACC.
be in. Is Duke and
Du
Virginia, I think.
Duke and Virginia, and I'll get to that in a
Yeah,
second because how is Duke in the freaking whatever?
yeah.
Um, And then it's Alabama
Yeah.
and Georgia, which
Alabama,
I
both those
also
teams
don't
are gonna be
understand.
in.
And then what other conference am I missing? Oh, the Big 12, BYU and Texas Tech. So
BYU and
those
Texas
are the
Tech,
teams that
yeah.
are playing each other in the championship
Yeah.
games.
And so most of those teams, win or lose, will
Mhm.
probably be in the championship. Other than
Yeah.
maybe Duke, Virginia, I
Right, yeah,
don't know
maybe.
if
Yeah.
the loser will still make it to the to the playoffs of that
Mm,
game. I don't
that
know,
might be their
but
hope.
yeah. So I don't know. It basically, bottom line, we'll see. I don't put
Yeah.
anything past the committee. They may look at Texas. They may look at the coach campaigning to get in, and they'll put them in. Who knows? I
Who
don't know.
knows?
We'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see. One team we don't have to worry about being in the college
I
football
was like, "Do you
playoff
wanna start us off?"
is Michigan. I mean, they had an opportunity, not much of
Did
an
they though? I was
opportunity.
like, did
Yeah,
they
not much of
though?
an
I
opportunity.
don't think so. I mean, they maybe would have
Yeah,
again made a case, and honestly, I think that their namesake would have helped them a little bit.
right.
They would have beat Ohio State because again, you would have been looking at a 10-2 team going into the
Yeah,
playoffs, so you could still state your case with that. But did they have a chance? No,
no,
no.
not in the game. They didn't.
Yeah, not
Not
definitely
even
not in
going
the
into the
game.
game.
No.
I had no illusion that Michigan was going to beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I've sat here on this podcast all season
All
and told you
season
that
said the same thing. Yeah.
Ohio State is a great team, man, and I don't see
Hmm.
anybody beating Ohio State, and
Yeah.
I still see that. I stick to that. I don't
Yeah.
see anybody beating those guys. I mean, what's that new phrase you taught me? The BTA.
Yeah. BTA. BTA.
That
Yeah.
was the type of game it was for Michigan.
100%.
It started out well,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
first
the
couple
first quarter.
drives,
Yeah, I
first
was like,
quarter,
"Okay."
they had the Jordan Marshall had the long run to start the game for
They saying
Michigan,
Ohio State's first possession.
but then they couldn't take advantage of their
They could have had
opportunities.
yeah, they
I
kick field
mean,
goals.
they kicked field goals. But then once that first quarter was over, things
It's a
settled
wrap.
down. Ohio State got their footing up under them. The emotion from the crowd died down, and
Mhm.
the
That
rest
was
was
it.
history.
Yeah. And
It was history.
And considering what we've kind of seen the past 2 games leading up to Ohio State, you saw a little bit of improvement in Michigan. You saw some improvement with Bryce Underwood, but they kind of just they played to me. They played scared. They went back to their old ways. They run the
Mhm.
ball on first down, run the ball on second down, put yourself in an obvious pass situation on third down. Don't catch the ball or don't throw the ball or whatever. Then now you're
Yeah,
putting it away on fourth down. It's like if I can see that sitting at home and I'm not a football expert, what
right.
makes you think that guys that play the game don't see that? Everybody can see that. They do the same
Mhm.
thing every time, which makes our
Yeah.
conversations the same every time.
See, my perspective was different. I didn't see any improvement. Think
Yeah,
about this. From game 1 to game 12, what kind of improvement did you see in Bryce Underwood? He looked the
yeah,
same to me.
yeah.
From
He may
game
have
1 to
had
game
1 or 2
12,
plays that were better, but
some
overall,
flashes
it's
here and
yeah,
there, but the development was, to me, it wasn't there. I
yeah.
mean, he still really hasn't learned how to pass the ball. The kid can throw the ball, but every pass is 100 miles per hour. And I know people say he got wide receivers that drop passes, which is true, but he also overthrew a lot of guys. He also underthrew a lot of
Oh, there's
guys.
all
His
those, yeah.
accuracy is all over the place. So I didn't see any improvement in Bryce all season.
Mhm,
And as a Michigan fan, I know some people, they sit back and they go, he's a true freshman quarterback. They had 2 or 3 freshman offensive
mhm.
linemen,
Redshirt
freshman running
freshman,
back,
running back,
redshirt this,
freshman
redshirt that.
receiver.
Okay, I get all of that. But the
Great.
main guy that you want to see improvement from
Mhm.
was the quarterback, because
Yeah.
he's the guy that's driving everything. And I didn't see anything that gives me, as a Michigan fan, hope that going into next season, that
Mhm,
Bryce Underwood is going to be good. Do you blame the coaching? I'm not in the building. No, I'm not sitting there with the kid while he's, preparing for the games and practicing and looking at film and all of that stuff. So I don't know if the coaches are devising a game plan just based on what they think his ability is, or is this just the coach's game plan? Because to
mhm,
me, you go out and you pay all this money for him to flip from LSU to come to Michigan, but then you don't let him play.
mhm,
So, if he has the ability to go out and be a game changer, to which that's what you brought him to the school to do, then why didn't you allow him to do that?
yeah.
Or
But
did you
one
come,
could say when he does try to make plays to be a game changer, he's still not great at doing that. So
he
it's kind of
wasn't
just
doing it.
like
So
it's a double-edged
that's
sword with the whole
yeah.
situation.
Yeah. So that's my point. Because the game plan against Ohio State was very, very conservative.
Very
Very
conservative.
conservative.
Very
So
conservative, very scared.
yeah, and that was the point that I was making. Did
Mhm,
you devise this game plan this way because you don't trust his ability to be that game changer that you thought he was going to be,
mm,
or are you just coaching scared?
mhm.
Right? I mean, so that's I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but when you sit there watching this week in and week out, you're going like, man, when are we going to see this great dual threat
$1.5 million
quarterback?
quarterback, whatever it is y'all paid this kid.
That everybody was
Yeah.
hyping up, even himself saying, you've never seen a freshman like me before. I
Right.
mean, you're probably right, but for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? It was
Oh,
just
God.
bad. I mean, they were
Yeah.
probably the worst 9-3 team that I've ever seen. Michigan, any good team that they played, they lost to. Right. I mean, and I've said just throughout the whole season that when they play inferior competition, they're gonna dominate. But when they play teams that can match their athleticism, when they match, maybe when they can match their physicality, Michigan struggled. I mean, we saw it here. They couldn't run the ball. Bryce Underwood had 13 yards passing in the first half.
Yeah.
He only finished with 63 for the entire game.
Yeah.
Jordan Marshall got hurt there, like at some point in the first or second quarter.
Yeah, because his shoulder, I think it was his first. I think it was first quarter. Pretty early on, the shoulder thing was still really bothering him. They put Cusdahl in the game.
Yeah, and when he got hurt, the offense went with him because Michigan only finished with 163 total yards the whole game. And at halftime, the score was 17-9. Game over. Ain't no sense in me watching this. Game is over. You know why? Ohio State has only given up 16 points. The most points they've given up in the season is 16.
To any opponent,
That's to any opponent. Any opponent. And now they already have 17. Granted, that's just a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away from tying the game. But what did you see from Michigan that make you think that they were going to do that? Absolutely nothing.
And they're not a team that can come from behind like that.
They're not built that way. Yeah.
Maybe if it's with a field goal, because clearly they can kick field goals. But I'm like, a touchdown or more,
it's over
with. It's wraps.
They're not built that way. Andrew Marsh didn't even have a catch in this game. He had 0 catches. I mean, after what we saw from him the last couple of weeks, you think, okay, this kid he stepped up. He's about to have a big game against Ohio State, but not one catch.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryce Underwood only completed 8 passes in this game. The thing with Michigan fans, not me, I'm not one of them, right? I'm a Michigan fan, but I'm not this person that I'm about to describe. Even after, they won the national championship a couple years ago, the Michigan's biggest flex was that they beat Ohio State 4 years in a row.
Right.
That's over with now.
Yeah.
So now reality is about to set in.
Sets back in. Yeah.
And I've been saying this all along. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not a hater of Ohio State. You give these guys credit. I mean, I'll never root for Ohio State, but I give them credit. Ohio State is an elite program.
Yeah.
Michigan is not on Ohio State's level. They're just not.
No.
They're just not. I don't care what Michigan fans say. I know it hurts to say that, but they're just not. Ohio State is in the mix year in, year out. When was the last time Ohio State lost 3 games in a season?
It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute. It's been
a very long time since Ohio State lost 3 games.
Yeah.
When the last time, hell, they lost 2 games in a season. I mean, I'm pretty sure that probably happened. That probably happened a few years ago.
A couple years ago, but still.
But to lose, I mean, my point is Michigan lost 3 games this year. I think they lost 5 last year.
Michigan was what? 5, I want to say Michigan was 5-6 last year when they beat Ohio State. Michigan went
to a bowl game last year, so I think they might have been 6-5.
6-5, okay.
And then they beat Ohio State. I could be wrong on that. Then they went 7-5. Then they beat Alabama in the bowl game. Maybe I don't know. But the point is, Ohio State don't lose a lot of games, and Michigan is an elite school. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as far as an elite,
don't X out my degree. My degree is elite.
It's just, but the football program is just not. I mean,
and it hasn't been for a long time.
I think I shared this earlier in the earlier podcast. Michigan has only beaten Ohio State 6 times since 2000. Ohio State has played for the national championship 6 times since 2000, and will probably play for it again this year.
Yeah. 100%.
So let's stop with this. We beat you 4 years in a row. Yeah, we did. And Michigan beat them 4, and it was fun. But prior to that, Ohio State had won 8 times in a row, whatever it was. I mean, they had won 16 out of 18 games or something like that. So it was good, to finally, get the rivalry going again. To where, you feel like Michigan can compete in the game. But going into the game yesterday, I didn't feel like Michigan was going to win the game. Not at all.
Not if you've been paying attention to Michigan all year, you've been paying attention to Ohio State all year. And everybody keeps talking about how you kind of said it earlier, the freshman this, the redshirt freshman that, and making excuses for it.
Right.
And that's what gets me, because if the coin was flipped and they were dominating, you wouldn't be saying, oh, they're only freshmen. You'll be hyping that part up, So it's like, take that off the table, because you're just using it as a crutch at this point because Julian Sane is also a redshirt freshman. He hasn't really been playing. He's a sophomore, whatever he is. He's young.
Yeah, sophomore.
So,
Bo Jackson, the running back, he had over 100 yards rushing in the game. I think he's a freshman.
Yeah.
And that's not the Bo Jackson. This is Bo
Jackson.
No,
this is another one. So
but he looked like the Bo Jackson.
The Bo Jackson, yeah. So it's like that's only relevant if they suck. If they're good, you're not saying that notion, at least in that context.
Right.
I don't know. It's just frustrating too, just the ego, I would say, of Michigan fans. Like hearing people talk about the game before, during, and after, and pointing blame here and saying all these things there. I'm like, people, Michigan has not been as consistent as Ohio State has been since 2000. That little picture you got over your right-hand shoulder, before 2023, that year says 1997, okay?
Right.
Ohio State has won plenty of things from 1997 to 2023. Yeah. Shut up. Like, respectfully, just stop. Like, we sound so, like I said, but that's them. There's a them and us. Yeah. They sound just so egotistical and big-headed because it's like, wow, you have 4 good years next to Ohio State's, what?
25 good years.
Like, please settle all that down. You know, like, it comes to a point where, yes, you can root for your team. You can be happy for your team. You can do all the things. But it's like, you need to be realistic. And at a certain point, you kind of got to know your place as well. I had no expectations, like you said, of Michigan winning this game. So when Ohio State won, my day wasn't ruined. I'm like,
it wasn't ruined.
Did we really think that this was going to happen? In the first quarter, they stopped them and they had a couple of good drives. They picked off Julian Sane. But again, if you kind of watch Ohio State play throughout this year, that happened in several games. And they still put up 56-3 for a whole bunch of teams on those little mistakes that they made. So getting excited and being all like, oh, like it's a waste of energy, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, you can not like a team, but still give them credit
and still respect it as well.
And that's where I am with Ohio State. I'm not an Ohio State fan by any stretch of the imagination. Right. I don't wear anything with the color combination of red and gray because of Ohio State. And I'm not even kidding. I've seen a lot of nice gym shoes that I like too.
Like, I won't wear them.
Colors, that's Ohio State colors. I'm not wearing that. Yeah. But I still give these guys credit, man. These guys are good. These guys, listen, they lost 14 guys off the team that won the championship last year. 14 guys got drafted to the NFL. Yeah. Then they lost both their coordinators. And this year they turn around, they're still 12-0 and might be better than they were last year. How are you going to hate that?
Right. I mean, they are better because they have a better record. So objectively, you can say that they are better. Man. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, people say, well, going into the Michigan game, well, who have they played? Who did Michigan play?
Right. They're in the same conference.
They're in the same conference. I mean, they play the same teams.
Right.
A lot of the same teams that Michigan played. Granted, they didn't play Oklahoma or any teams like that. But a lot of the same opponents that Michigan played that they struggled against. Ohio State played them and dominated.
To the postseason, they still do the same thing. So it's like, in the beginning, when the college football playoff first kind of started, and people were like, oh, Ohio State's only good because they're in the Big Ten and yada, yada, yada. But then when they started playing other teams outside of the Big Ten, they were still competing. They were still winning games. So that argument has been dead at least since 2013 when the college football playoff started. So we can stop saying that.
I mean, the only reason why we're not sitting here talking about Ohio State 6 championships or 7 championships is because they always had to go up against Alabama,
Georgia.
Or Georgia. A couple years there when Clemson was good. Yeah, it wasn't because anybody in the Big Ten was beating them. I tell you that. They would dominate the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, give those guys credit, man. Like, I said this, after the Thanksgiving Day game with the Lions. But with great expectations come great disappointment. But when you don't have expectations, you can't be disappointed. I wasn't disappointed that Michigan lost because I knew they were going to lose.
Yeah. I mean, I was disappointed when they lost to TCU. I was disappointed when they lost to Georgia. But like this year, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that they were going to win, but I wouldn't have bet. I'm not a betting person, but I wouldn't have bet $1 that Michigan was going to win that game yesterday, and they did. So,
no chance. I probably would have bet $1 they would have lost. I would have bet more money they would have lost that game than bet $1 that they were going to win that game. Yeah.
But they just need to use this as a learning tool, man. I mean, I think you give Sharon Moore one more year to try to figure it out. I mean, he's a heck of a recruiter, but Michigan hasn't won any big games since he's been the coach. I mean, what was keeping him going was that he was 2-0 against Michigan State, 2-0 against Ohio State, so they were beating their rivals.
Right.
Well, now that's not the case anymore. And when you paying a guy, I don't know what they paying Bryce Underwood. I mean, I heard 10 million, I heard 12 million, whatever it is. But when you paying people that kind of money, you have to win.
Yeah.
you brought this guy in to win big games, and
Mhm.
Michigan's offense to me didn't look any different this year than it did last year. I guess it's a little bit better, but ultimately the result was the same. You want to call yourself elite, but yet here we are again. You're on the outside looking in and making the college football playoffs. So
Going
you can't,
bowling again.
you can't be, yeah, exactly. You can't be elite if you're like sitting at number 5 in your conference behind Ohio State, Indiana, or USC.
USC and then not
You
Michigan.
can't be elite. It's 12 teams that make the playoffs, and you can't make the
You
playoffs.
can't
You
playoffs.
are
Yeah.
not elite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
And then somebody brought the point too about Sharon Moore. They were saying that if Sharon Moore, say, got fired from Michigan, that Michigan head coaching job would be the number one sought out after job in all of college football right now.
Absolutely.
But Sharon
Absolutely.
Moore would not get hired at another P5 school.
No.
I was like, that is,
Not as a head coach.
and as a head coach, and
Not as a
they
head
were like,
coach. Yeah.
and that's the issue. That's the issue. And I
Right.
was like, out of all the hoopla that y'all keep complaining and saying, I was
Mhm.
like, I agree with that 100% because that is very true
Yeah.
when you look at it from that perspective.
He's a great recruiter. I mean,
Yeah,
Michigan gets some really good players
they
on their
do.
team or
But
whatever,
then the
but
development
he's
is,
not developing them. Yeah.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah, so
The
I give him
last
one
part,
more year. I give him one
yeah,
more year.
yeah.
2026 would be the year
Mm-hmm.
to see. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just what they're going to do under
Yeah.
Sharon Moore. You have to make the playoff. I mean,
Yeah.
goodness
Come
gracious,
on.
you have to make the
12
playoffs
teams.
here. It's 12 teams. You have to make it.
Yeah.
If you call yourself elite, we're the winningest college football program in
Not for
history and all
long.
that. I don't care about all that. Over the last, I don't know what, 15 years, maybe longer, you've had 4 good years.
Yeah, and
You
Ohio State
know,
is now within 9 games of
yeah,
overtaking the record of, of the
yeah,
games. So the only reason they
yeah,
didn't do it sooner is because we had those 4 little years that we beat them. So we kind of
yeah,
spread that margin out. But the last
yeah,
thing I want to say about this, because we can keep going on and on and on. The
yeah.
headbutt from Jay Sean Barham to the official,
Yeah,
what the heck was watching that
yeah,
in real time? I was like, for one, you could probably be criminally charged for something like that because at that point
right,
it is a weapon. Because the same thing
right.
that what they were trying to sort, they were trying to do that. Remember when Michigan
Mhm.
State got into that fight a couple of years ago? That's when I was there. I worked
Yeah,
that game, and they got into that really big fight in the tunnel. They was the Michigan State guy was beating the dude up with his helmet. I'm
right.
like, instantly, I was like, he's getting ejected. So the fact that
Yeah,
they only got a penalty on that, and then still, I would give defense some credit there because they still held Ohio State, I want to say, to a field goal. They didn't even
for
score on
field
that
goal,
drive
yeah.
after they
Mhm.
restarted their downs. But
Right.
you're headbutting a ref.
Yeah,
What,
I
like,
was shocked
what
at
has,
that.
yes, I'm like, what are we doing? I'm speechless, clearly. I'm like, have some decorum. Oh my God. I was like, more than decorum. I'm like, dude,
And considering the things that they kick you out of games for in college, for
much
them not
less.
to eject him for that was shocking to me.
Shocking.
It
If
was
there was
shocking
any
that
more, they might make him miss the bowl game. I don't
they
really know.
might,
We'll
yeah,
see. But if this was middle of the season, he would have been suspended for a couple of games, not
yeah,
even just getting
yeah,
ejected from that game. I was like, dude, are you serious right now?
yeah.
What
It'd be
was
interesting
that
to see if he does even be able to play in that bowl
in
game
bowl
after
game?
that, after they
Yeah,
go back and look at it. I mean, because they can't find the guy,
right.
but, they can kick him out for the next game,
Mm,
and that's probably what's gonna happen, I would think.
yeah,
That's probably what's gonna
yeah,
happen, but we'll see.
yeah. The Iron Bowl, Alabama
Yeah,
and Auburn. Auburn is
yeah,
always so close. This is the 4th straight
mhm,
game at Auburn that was decided by 1 score and they lost.
yeah,
It's like they're always on the cusp and then they beat them. And like their
mhm,
biggest play that they keep playing all the time was the punt return way back when I was in high school. And it
yeah.
was, what I'm
The
talking
kick
about,
six.
the kick
When
six. There
it
we go. I was like, what is that?
the missed field goal,
The
yeah, the
missed
kick
field goal.
6,
I
yeah.
mean, that's
Mhm.
arguably probably their last good play against. I know they probably beat
Alabama, yeah.
Alabama since then, at least once or twice, I think. But I
Right.
mean,
The Iron
they
Bowl is always
just.
good. There's a
It's
lot of
always good
drama.
though. It's always a lot of drama. It doesn't matter what the record is. It seems like that game is always
Mhm,
super close. There are a couple of games that I always say that it doesn't matter what the record is.
mhm.
The games are always close. It's usually Michigan State because there have been plenty of years
Right,
where that little stretch for Michigan was really, really good, and our one loss
right.
that year was to Michigan State.
Yeah,
Auburn and Alabama, Texas and OU. At least
yeah.
from what I pay attention
That's
to,
true.
those 3
Yeah,
games
those are
are
good
like
examples. Right.
it's always close. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
what the record is.
Yeah, and this game started out, Alabama was looking really good. Auburn
Yeah.
couldn't get going. Alabama was up 17-0.
Yeah.
So you got to feel like this is gonna be a blowout this time
Mhm.
around. Alabama on a mission. They knew they needed to win the game to get
Yeah.
not only to the SEC,
championship, but the
championship game, but
playoffs.
also to the playoffs. So, they came out on
Mhm.
fire, but then
Mhm.
gradually Auburn chipped away. They kicked a
Yeah.
field goal,
Mhm.
kicked another field goal right
Got the
before
touchdown.
halftime and made it 17-6, came out second half, got the big touchdown, and it was game on
Defense
at
was getting
that point.
stops. I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama
Yeah.
couldn't get anything going against them for a while, and then
Yeah.
it was the 3rd quarter. They had a really good drive down the field.
Mhm.
They threw it and it wasn't an interception. I wanna say it was kind of flicked off, and then Bama it was like the ball was bobbling in the air, and then Bama came and
Yeah.
caught it, and then they
Yeah.
returned it, but they didn't get any points off of that, so again, shout out to Auburn's defense, that was really good, but
Right.
then literally right there at the end, in the 4th quarter, it was like, what, 30
Mhm.
seconds left, something like that, and they had a really, really good drive down the field. They had down to, like, Alabama's, like, 20-ish yard line, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
a little bit more or less, and then he threw an interception or a
Threw a
fumble,
pick,
whatever it
yeah.
was.
That
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
pick,
yeah.
yeah.
It was
It
a
was a
pick,
pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Game was over at that point,
and the
yeah.
announcers kept saying, like, "Oh, they have time, they have their 3 timeouts
Mhm.
left," and yada, yada, yada. I was just like, "Look,
And in that
this game
moment,
is."
you really thought they were gonna score a touchdown. Just the way the
Yeah.
game was going, the history of that
Yeah.
rivalry, you
Mhm.
kind of figured, "Okay, they're gonna score a touchdown, we're gonna go to overtime," but then, they
Overtime. They
had
had
to
to
pick
pick,
to end the
man.
game, but yeah, Alabama sweated it out. Now
Yeah.
they get to go to the SEC championship game. They get to face Georgia again. They beat Georgia early in the season, and I believe that game was in Athens. So they get to go back to the state of Georgia and try to beat them again.
But
So
my
that
question is, why is Alabama in the SEC championship game with a 10-2 record over an 11-1 Ole Miss?
because it's not the overall record, it's based on the conference. So because both
Okay,
those, I think it
okay.
was like a four-way tie. I think you had like four teams that finished 7-1 in the
Mhm.
conference, and some kind of
Yes,
way
they
Alabama
did.
won the tiebreak
Because
because
obviously
Alabama did not play Ole Miss
no,
and they didn't play Texas
Texas A&M.
A&M.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way throughout that's why I told you I don't understand all that tiebreak stuff. If it's not head to
I
head,
don't. Yeah.
I mean,
How does
I don't
that
know how they
work?
figure it out, but somehow, some way, Alabama won the tiebreak, and they made it to the championship.
That just
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta look into that more and kinda figure that out because
Mhm.
I'm looking at it, like you said, it in like CFP rankings order is
Mhm.
Georgia, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama as of right now. Obviously, that's going to change because Texas A&M lost. But
Right.
those 4 teams are all 7-1 in the SEC, and then
Right.
Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Georgia are 11-1. But that still doesn't make any sense to me though, because why? Because at the end of the day, it's like if Ole Miss and Alabama are tied, they don't have a head to head. I mean, are you looking at strength of schedule at that point? Because obviously every SEC team is not playing each other now because the conference is
Right.
just too big. Like I understand that point of it, but
Right.
that just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
So it's a little bit different in college than it is in the NFL. So in the NFL, it would be if your record was better than mine,
Mhm.
you win a division or you finish higher than me. But in college, everything is about the conference. So if my record is the same as yours in the conference or better than yours in the conference, but overall you have a better record than me, I'm still gonna beat you out in the conference, at least when it comes
Mhm.
to playing in these conference championship games. Because let's say Alabama could have went 0-2 in non-conference games. I don't know who I know they played Florida State to begin the season, but let's just say they went 0-2 in non-conference games. But then they go 10-0
Yeah, in the
in
SEC.
SEC, and then Georgia or Texas A&M or one of those two only lose one game, but their
Mhm.
one game that they lost was in the conference. So they finished at 11-1. Alabama finished at 10-2, but because Alabama went 10-0
Undefeated in the SEC.
in the conference, they would win the conference or get an
Right.
opportunity to play in the championship game or whatever the case may be. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit different in college as opposed to the NFL. The NFL, it doesn't work like that. The only time it works like that in the NFL is if they're using it for a tie break scenario.
Mhm. Mhm.
But let's say like in the NFL, like right now, the Lions, they lost 2 games to Green
To
Bay,
Green Bay.
right? But if the Lions was to somehow finish ahead of Green Bay, like if Green Bay lost the rest of their games and the Lions won the rest of their, let's just say, even though the Lions lost to
Have a
Green
better
Bay
record.
twice,
Yeah.
they have a better record, so they would still
Yeah.
win the division. It's not like that in
Mm.
college. It's not like so.
That's
It factors
confusing.
into the NFL to some degree, but only if they needed to break a tiebreaker or something like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
They'll
So
look at how you
it's
did
not
in
as
your division, how you
straightforward.
did in your conference. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not as
simple once you know what you're looking at. But basically, that's why the conference games in college are way more important
Mhm.
than non-conference games.
Right.
Because, you lose a non-conference game, it doesn't hurt you, at least it's not supposed to hurt you as much as
Mhm.
losing a game within your
In your
conference.
conference. Yeah,
So
that makes
that's why I
sense.
said, like, for Texas, the loss to Florida is a lot more hurtful for them
Mhm.
than the loss to Ohio State,
Mhm.
because Ohio State is not in that conference.
Conference, yeah. But
Florida
Florida is in
is.
the SEC, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
if they had a won that game against Florida, and now they're sitting at 10-2, even though they lost to Ohio State and Georgia,
Mhm.
their argument to make the playoff
Be stronger.
would be stronger. But because
Yeah.
you lost that conference game,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's basically how it work
Interesting.
out.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's how it work out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Auburn just announced too that they got a new head coach as well. So
Saw that. Yeah, we're
yeah,
still waiting to
again,
hear about the Lane Kiffin
the Lane
decision
Kiffin
in
decision.
Ole Miss.
I feel like
Yeah,
at this point, if you haven't outright said you're staying at Ole Miss after all
yeah,
this time, you're going to LSU.
yeah,
I'll be very shocked to find out if he decides to stay at Ole Miss. And all of
right.
this is hearsay, all of this is rumors, but apparently now he's making demands that his whole offensive staff got to follow him to LSU, or they're not going to have a job if they're not on that airplane.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like,
I didn't hear
what
that.
in the
Yeah,
world? Like I said, all of this is reports and sources say.
right.
So who
Yeah, I
knows
didn't hear
if
that.
it's been fact checked or not? But I
Mhm.
saw on a blue check account on Twitter. So, that's as official as it's gonna get for me until something comes out. So
You know, I
it's
think I
just
said last
strange.
week, yeah, my gut tells me that he's gonna go to
Go
LSU.
LSU, yeah.
I think he's gonna go to
But
LSU.
and they were
Mhm.
making really good points. They, as in Pat McAfee and Nick Saban on College Game Day, they were speaking about how in this what was it? What's that guy's name? Joel Klatt. Is that his name?
Joel Klatt.
Yeah, Joel
Joel
Klatt.
Klatt.
So
Mhm.
they were all making the point, different points at different times. Basically, just saying like in this new age of college football, it's not how it used to be. If a surefire school like Alabama or Georgia opened up with the college coaching position at the time, that you can only win a national championship there. In this new
Mhm.
day and age, you can rebuild and create any program anywhere, and it's like you have that opportunity now at Ole Miss. So why would you forego that? Because another argument is saying it's like they should let him coach
Yeah.
in the playoffs, even if he decides to take the LSU job before the season is over. And they were making the other point about recruiting, of saying that if I was a different coach from a different school, specifically in the SEC, and LSU or Ole Miss was after you, and Lane Kiffin was the respective coach at either of those schools, a good argument is like, why would you commit to him and he can't commit
Mhm.
to you, because you've lost that credibility now, because basically you're not trustworthy.
Yeah, I understand all of that, but I don't necessarily agree with it,
Mm.
because it's always been that way for coaches. Coaches could
Yeah.
always leave.
Lee.
And before they relaxed some of the transfer rules, the players had to stay.
Yeah.
And if they decided to leave, they would have to sit out for a year.
For a
So
year.
the coaches have always had the ability to just walk away whenever they wanted to. It's happened plenty of times
Right.
where a coach would leave in the middle of a season or leave right after the season and go take another job. And as far as being able to win anywhere, there are just levels to it. There's different levels. LSU is on a different level than Ole Miss. They just are. There are certain schools that are just like that. Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Miami to a certain extent, Clemson. These schools are just on a different level. While you can maybe go to Ole Miss or Indiana or Syracuse or schools like that and win, and those are all fine schools when it comes to football, because certain schools are football schools, certain schools are
Right. The
basketball
basketball
schools.
schools. Yeah.
There's just different levels. And LSU, as far as football is concerned, it's on a different level than Ole Miss.
Ole
So
Miss.
that's
Yeah.
why I think he would take the job. It ain't all about the money, because
Yeah.
a lot of these schools, the name just recruits itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
100%.
name recruits itself. That's why, to me, when you look at a perfect example would be when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma to
Mm.
go to USC.
SC.
Oklahoma is a fine school, right? I mean, one of the so-called blue bloods
Yeah.
of college football, but USC is just on a different level.
Mm.
When people hear SC, they think, man, powerhouse football program. And you
Yeah.
probably think that too at Oklahoma, but
But not on
SC
the
is just
level
on a
of
different
SC.
level.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a different
Yeah.
level, man. I mean,
Because you're not
because
thinking South Carolina when you say FC. You're thinking
yeah,
USC, California.
yeah. I mean, you're not old enough to remember this, but at one time, Nick Saban coached Michigan State.
Right. Yeah, I did find that
He
out.
coached Michigan State, and it's been a while ago. I don't know if he left Michigan State and went to LSU, or did he
Yeah.
leave Michigan State and he went to the pros first. I don't really remember. I think maybe he went to LSU first. But
Mhm.
Michigan State is a fine school,
Right.
right? But they're not LSU.
Yeah.
Not when it comes to football, at least not back
Well,
then.
yeah.
And he went to LSU and he won championship.
Yeah.
So that's why. So when they sit there
Yeah.
and they say stuff like, why would he leave? This, that, I know things have changed. The landscape has changed with NIL and all of that. It's because LSU is just on a different level
Yeah.
than Ole Miss. You could probably sit here and, being a recent football fan, you could probably just sit here and name guys that went to LSU that's in the NFL.
I mean, yeah, after that 1 year, the whole entire
Yeah.
roster got drafted. Are you kidding me?
And can you
Yeah.
do that with Ole Miss? And that's not a knock against Ole Miss,
It's just
because
it's
I'm sure there are fine football players in the NFL
Mhm.
that went to Ole Miss, but you would
Yeah.
have to get on your phone and look.
Yeah.
If you wanted to name players that went to LSU, you could rattle off a few
Yeah.
without even problems. That's the
Yeah.
difference. To me, that's the
Yeah.
difference. To me, that's the difference. That's why he would leave Ole Miss to go to LSU. It's not about the money. The
Yeah.
money is fine. Whichever contract he signed, he's
Mhm.
gonna be all right financially. You got the end's gonna be mean like a you know what in the Kiffin household, no matter which no matter which contract he signs, right? So it's not
Yeah.
even about that. It's just
Yeah.
because LSU is on a different level. He's gonna
Right.
have more of an opportunity to compete year in and year out at LSU than he would at Ole Miss. That's
Right.
just the bottom line for me.
Mic drop. There you go. All right. Well, the regular season of college football is over, and we have
That
now
went by
done the first
fast.
podcast of college football
Yeah,
regular season. So that is a hand clap and a praise.
yeah,
We did this consistently, at least
we did
through
it. Yeah,
one full regular season college football. We still have
yeah,
7 weeks to go, and the NFL 6 weeks to go. So still got a little bit
yeah.
there, but I'm happy we did this. It was great. We got through one whole
We did it.
season.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for
so
putting it
now we
together. It's
have
all you.
oh, I tried. I tried. So
Mhm.
we'll keep it going. I'm having a good time. This is really fun. Like I said, we do this off camera, and I was like, why not just turn the camera on and do it and just see how it
Yeah,
goes. So
exactly.
yeah, it's been great though. So yeah, we have what is it? Week 13? Yeah, week 13 of the NFL to wrap up on
Mhm.
Tuesday, part 2. We already posted part 1. So
Right.
and we have bowl games next week, and then we'll have a little bit here and there to talk about college football, but it definitely won't be more
Championship games.
NFL focused. Yeah,
Championship
championship
games
game.
next week.
Sorry,
Yeah.
championship games, and then bowl
Mhm.
games, and then
And then bowl
the
games. Yeah.
national championship. Yeah,
The
there we go.
playoff games start. Yeah.
Playoff games. Yeah, so we still have a little bit to go.
It
We're in the postseason now, but we're in the end game now, like we can say.
Yeah, we are.
So there we go. There we go.
All right, sweetie. It's been
All
fun.
right. Yep. All right.
It's
Let's go
been
ahead and
fun.
wrap this episode up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. Of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you get updated whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right. Stay tuned to the next one.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Stay here till we get back.